Hello, welcome to my presentation here. I am Conrad and I am a first year technology teacher education program student at BCIT, and this is the presentation for COM 4494, and I will be presenting on the Dowel Maker jig. So first off, I'll just sort of outline what I am going to talk about. First, I'll talk about the inspiration behind this jig, and then materials and tools, and then some design aspects that went into this, and the build process, which I'll note that it is a very simple jig to make, but I'll sort of say some key points about what is good to watch out for. And then I'll go outside to my home workshop to demonstrate the jig. And then at the end, I'll put in some bonus material where it'll where I'll talk about the recording software that I use for this presentation. So, some inspiration behind this project. It was while I was doing my 2x4 challenge project this term, I was needing a way to make smaller dowels to fit my project. And I needed a way to kind of get it smaller than what the shop had at its disposal. There was a drill bit that you could use in the drill press that could make 3/8 of an inch dowels, but I need something smaller than that. So I went online and found this design, and I sort of modified it for my own needs. And then what I found was that materials are cheap and easy to find, and you could probably find it in any high school workshop, and it's another useful jig that we could add to our collection of things to teach different processes to our students. And it is also a very simple construction. Great project for students to make that they can take home to their own maker spaces or workshops. So that's some good inspiration that I had here. So, materials. There will be a piece of wood. I just happened to find some scrap piece of 2x4 lying around, and I would say if you don't find that, you would find or try to find a solid piece of wood at least 1 inch thick. And then I would say need some wood screws to kind of attach the metal to the piece of wood. And I'll go into why I preferred Robertson flathead screws. And I would say mild steel or higher because most of the people or the videos that I watched online with this jig used something along these lines. So I went for the flat bar that we used in other projects. And this is about 1/8 of an inch thick. So for tools, first you need a center punch. You mark holes for the places where you need to drill. And yeah, this is another side note here. Another great thing about this project is that it involves more than one workshop. So you could get some from the metal and some from the wood processes in this project. And so there's a center punch and then the drill press for some good precision to mark or drill the holes where you want it to. You could use a cordless drill to do this, but I would say you might or might not get as good of a precision with that, but that's an option. And then, of course, the drill bits, of course, to shape the cutting edge and for pre-drilling for the screws and countersinking for those. And some vices and clamps for holding your work and to test out the jig. And of course, the corded and cordless drill uh, should have a chuck and a very high RPM. This jig does depend on the high RPM of these drills. and of course a knife, which I'll get into during the demo process. So here's some aspects about the design. So the drill bits I went with was 3/8, 1/4, and 7/32. This is obviously your choice, as those are the dowels I was looking for. And I used the 1/4-inch drill bit to make the rake angles, which you see as the 3 circles around each hole. So it creates both the cutting edge and the rake angles. And just some review from metalwork. The rake angle is the angle that kind of sweeps away or rakes away the material. So this works the same way in this application. And I went with Robertson screws because I basically strip every single Phillips head that I touch. So Robertson's is always my personal preference. And the block of wood, I went with this for a couple reasons. One was that I saw some designs where it was just a piece of metal with the holes, and then the person would have to drill quite straight to make the dowels. So the block of wood just sort of eliminates that variable and keeps it nice and straight. And then I made it big enough that it's clamped easily into a vise. So that is that. So like I said, the build process is quite simple, and I'll just outline some basic things that need some elaboration. So I'll joint the wood to get a nice smooth surface to mount the piece of metal, and then I would pre-drill the holes, just a good part to talk about precision and just make the construction process a lot easier for students. And after drilling the mounting holes, you could more easily mount or line up the holes under the drill press. And then I would space the holes about 1 inch apart to give room for the 3 circles. And then just a note about the 3 circles, I measured it around 2 millimeters from the outside of the hole. And I know I'm switching between imperial and metric, but 2 millimeters is a little bit of a better reference, I found, and easier for students to grasp on this one. And I would use a 1/16 drill bit to mark these 3 circles after doing a center punch, because I found if I just did the center punch, the drill was still kind of slipping on me. So this is just one improvement I thought was good. And then right now is about time I'll go out to my workshop.
Alright, hello guys. This is my home shop, which is kind of a bare bones at the moment here, but sooner or later it'll get established. Now, I have out here my cordless drill, and then a couple of pieces of wood here that I sort of pre-cut and sawed down to about 1/2 inch thick, and that will help out with our process here. And then I got a knife right over here. And then one of the key things here is that in order for the jig to work, it's got to be clamped down to something pretty solid. If your workbench doesn't really hold still, okay, you can clamp it down to something very solid. So in this case, I found just the fence outside my building here to be kind of sufficient with a couple of clamps here. Now, what I'm going to do is sort of demonstrate about what to do with this here, because this is not going to fit into the drill chuck as easily as you can see. So what I did was I took a knife and I sort of whittled it down to size, which I'm just going to demonstrate that right about here.
Workbench doesn't really do much, or doesn't really hold still. Okay, you can
and then you would do this till it is kind of thin enough to fit into the drill chuck here, which I was actually just practicing the other day. Once you get this into the drill chuck, you can go ahead and start drilling it into the jig here. Now, as you can see, I have my safety glasses and my ear protection. Those drills do get pretty loud. facilitate this whole process. And then you want to get as straight of a grain as possible. I did it as straight as possible as I could. Otherwise, you do start to see a lot of these tearing. And then I didn't really want to go too far because it's kind of a monotonous video. But this is pretty good for what it is. And then sort of as you drill from this one, and then you kind of progress down to this one, and then this one. So this jig is sort of set up that way. And yeah, that's the demonstration there.
Well, hello, back again, and hope you guys enjoyed my glimpse into my home workshop there. And I have a little bit of time left in this presentation, and I decided to slot in some things about OBS Studio. And I'll do a little scene transition here. Okay, so this is the software, and I have this on my other window here, so if you're wondering why I'm turned towards this side here. So I'll show you some things that I do here. So you have, in this little section here, your sources. You have the mic, video capture device, and display capture. So mic is just what I'm speaking into right now, and the video capture device is just the webcam. So I decided to add the webcam just to kind of give a more like personal feel to talking to your audience and or your students. And the display capture is to, of course, capture the window or whatever software you're wanting to present. So that's just a basic setup that I use here. And then I want to show you another setting here, which is called window capture. And then you would add window capture, and I would say create new, and then you would point this to your PowerPoint in case you want to present just that specific software right there. Now, there's a whole bunch of other settings in here that I won't go into, but I thought I'd just show my basic setup in how I made this video. And yeah, thought that would be a nice little touch to this presentation, and I hope everyone's keeping safe, staying healthy, and doing whatever they can in this time now. Thanks for watching my presentation.